Alright, the next exercise I'm going to demonstrate in the cycling series is a stretch for the hip flexor. Hip flexors never get fully extended during cycling, and if you spend hours on a bike, your hip flexors can become very shortened and very tightened and cause back pain. So here's a couple of good ways to stretch these hip flexors. They're on the front of our hips. I'm going to demonstrate the first one in standing, and this is going to be from the right side. So this is a very common stretch that people do. So basically I'm going to bend my left knee, my left foot's in front, right foot's behind. I'm going to bend my left knee, and that's going to put that right knee behind that hip joint. So the stretch happens when you have your knee behind that hip joint. So right now I'm feeling that stretch in here. Now to increase the stretch, you can actually just lift your hand up and kind of sit into it a little bit. It helps to keep your stomach in, keep your pelvis tipped back a little bit, and you really feel that stretch. Okay, the next one I'm going to demonstrate is the same type of stretch, but we're going to do it in a kneeling position. So I'm going to demonstrate now with my left. So this is kind of like what we were doing in the standing position, but my knee's on the floor. This can be a very effective stretch, and you can also add a stretch for your hip internal rotators and adductors, which also become very tight during cycling. So the stretch happens when you bring your hips forward, and once again the knee joint is quite a bit behind where my hip joint is, and the pelvis actually rocks here. So you can rock your pelvis kind of forward and backward, and when you rock it backward, that really stretches that hip flexor. And once again, you can increase the stretch by raising your arm up and leaning onto that right foot. So I'm leaning onto this front leg here, just pressing my foot down into the floor. And that's a nice stretch for the hip flexor.